call. I'm assuming that's why you expect to be here. And second of all, I wanted to say thank you to each one of you. Most of you I've not had much opportunity to talk with in quite some time, only through our Zoom meetings or whatever else. I flew in this week specifically to meet with our partners. We have a Friday day planned, several other important meetings every week. We've had multiple virtual plans times. I don't know if you know how many of you know Mark Posey. Mark, if you'd stand. He's a member of our partnership team. Has been since the beginning. And thank you, Mark. And he's a contributor, been a long time resident of Colorado, and how many years now here in the Woodland Park Divide area?
2.
Oh, okay, 3 years here. But Mark's a great asset to us. But first of all, I wanted to say, I think that one of the biggest issues with the Woodland Station, Bergstrom Station type property is it's been a forefront on the agenda, and probably the big eyesore piece for completion by the DDA for a long time, for 2 decades. And it's not been easy serving as you guys have. I've done a lot of public service myself, and I know there are too few times that we get to celebrate or congratulated or even appreciated. And way too many times that there's kind of mud on the face. We have to eat issues that are others making. And it's been tough. So whether you're brand new on the DDA or whether you've been here like Al and like our chairman for so long serving, and some of the others come in between, I just want to say I thank you and appreciate you, because it's not an easy job. There's a lot of people that wouldn't have it, and a lot of you that probably wonder why you do. So thank you. And I mean that in all sincerity, because at some point in place, the public has entrusted you, or city council, or whatever the procedure is for you to be in place. People have expressed confidence in you. And second of all, you're expressing the ability and the willingness to care about your community. So if you didn't care that something happened there, you wouldn't be here today. And I mean that sincerely for all of you, no matter what position you take concerning us or not. To date, in addition to these meetings we're having, Chad Anderson, who will be our new project lead. I'll still be probably the point person for here. Chad's from Peyton, Colorado. He's with ForgeWorks.co. He and Kern White, who's the president of the corporation, are the primaries that are overlooking this, but also others in that group. Hostetler and Alan Brown, the attorney, they'll each be engaged as well. And they wanted to know at this phase, for that revelation or information that you might like to discuss with them or whatever, would you like a letter of intent that we're under contractual agreement with them? Would you like to set a public meeting specifically, or private, whichever you would choose? They want to know what's the most appropriate way at this time. We've been working on internal housekeeping issues, making great progress. The project itself is making great progress, although nowhere near the phases we're discussing that you discussed this morning, David. We understand those are goals, but they're ready to come and chat with you. And I think you're going to be very pleasantly pleased with the depth, expertise, ideas they bring that are not different than what we have proposed. I would say we're bringing a much more enhanced idea and complex, a much more expensive thing. And Mark and I understood back, it was he and I and a couple of other partners, that we would have to do this in stages because of funding and the ability to carry and our lack of depth. We now will only do so because the project demands that that's the best way to do it. And so we're very excited about that. Kern himself's a Peyton cowboy. Grew up on one of the largest ranches there in the country. In fact, he from there, when I say Peyton, I meant Chad. Chad himself grew up on Chad Anderson and his dad, Mary Jo. Y'all know some of the same bull riding people. Some of the people there's some of the ranches they've been associated with have provided many of those. Probably broncs and bulls and whatever you probably rode your own stuff, but they've got a good history here. They have friends, relationships in the area. One of the reasons they were excited about it is, like us, they love Woodland Park. They've been here many times. They camp here, they eat here, they play here with their families, and they're really excited. And they said the fact that this prime piece of property still sits here and that we can work with it and around it, we are really thrilled to come and do something that'll be glorious. So I guess if there's one thing I wanted to encourage you about today, and I won't say much more than that, is that, a lot of days as a DDA member, perhaps you've felt more like walking with your head down and not necessarily hoping that you'd get publicly addressed by this position. But I want to encourage you and say, I really have confidence and hope that you're going to believe in this project, and we still need some things to fall into place. Absolutely. And I know this is not us being assumptive that we will have anyone's vote here, but I believe the days are coming that you'll be a part of something glorious, and you'll be able to hold your head high once again and say, hey, I'm glad I was a part of the DDA. And I think there'll be some redemption for people who've done it for many years in the past, and perhaps felt more disgrace than they did positive. It's a good time for mending those kind of relationships. We're all public servants, and whether we ever agree, we'll never all be each other's best friend. But wouldn't it be nice to just be on each other's team? Because that's what we expect of our community, and that's what we ought to expect of ourselves. And as a public owner here in this community, that's what I expect of my leaders, is that they're those kind of people on each other's team and for each other. So once again, thank you. A little bit more about Chad. He worked for 17 years for Compassion International as the lead IT guy. When he went to be with them, they had an office in a basement. They were bringing in several $1 million in donations. But when he went to work as a kid because his dad told him, get out of ranching, son. Now, he never has, but as we know, ranching can be challenging. So instead, he went into farming. Isn't that wise? But he held a big place with was the primary supplier for Farm Fresh for many years. During his time as IT there, Chad helped and became lead for the IT at Compassion International. Worked with Bill Gates directly and many other high focus people at Microsoft, and produced some interface software that helped countries around the world be able to bring them children and help support teams that the children around the world did. And when Chad left 17 years later, Compassion International, how many of you seen the building downtown now for Compassion? Y'all seen it? It's quite impressive. It's a beautiful place. I'm sure some of you are familiar with it, may have even worked on it. But it was near $1 billion in donations. So these guys are somebody that can do something. And, honestly, we feel it's more providential and the kindness of God to help us find someone like that to bring apart something we felt like for 3 years now that we were supposed to be a part of, and yet had no clue how we could do it. Mm-hmm. And you guys are patient enough to still let me stand here after those 2.5 years of floundering around and talk to you. But I think it's a day to lift your head up, be encouraged, and be a part of something glorious. And thank you, David. We'll look forward to those deliverables. They have a legal team in place. They'll review them. They're welcome to, they're glad to write anything you need in particular on their behalf. But if you'd let us know after a discussion how you'd like introduction, at least to Chad, and and if you'd like some form of letter of intent that we're in a contractual agreement for the property. Thank you.
Well, this needs to go to discussion, but personally, I would like to see a letter of intent, and I would like to have a special meeting that's just to meet with you and talk about all of this. Discussion from the board. Al?
Mike, quite a number of years ago, the DDA board designed and approved a TIF application. The TIF application asked for a lot of the things that we've just been asking for.
Right.
The design of that is to give a variety of parameters to see if a project is economically viable and to separate those from those that are wish lists. I've not yet seen an application from you, even though you've been provided it, and nothing has come about. We're still in the wish list thing here, and I agree. We need to see something, or we're going to do something.
Understood. Al, thank you. And I have had that quite a while. And we have had a changing of people that I was trying to bring on as partners during that time. So, but I agree with your statement. We have that TIF. That TIF has been sent to Chad. I'll help communicate with him that needs to be, is that a part of the priority for the
that will
list?
be part of the priority.
Very good. Okay, make sure it's just clarified for me in case it isn't. Thank you.
Yes, I've been on the board a long time, and we've dealt with a lot of wishes. And I think there's quite a number of us here that are done dealing with wishes and want to get into production.
I agree, sir. Completely.
And it's got to be an economically viable project in order to move this thing forward too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agreed, and
Good.
no concerns with your comments.
Good. Any other discussion on this side over here? Then.
Well, I guess a question, where are we in the process? It sounds like instead of having an exclusive agreement contract that was already in draft, we were just looking for some pieces of it to be added. Have we got the language?
So I've come up with kind of the letter understanding that lays out what I think the board is looking for in the application.
Mhm.
I need to get with city staff to draft it in the language it needs to be, and I'll look to do that as quickly as possible, and then get that out.
Well, who on city staff do you think is going to draft that?
Well, I've started with Michael, and he's offered his assistance, and I don't know if I see him there right now, but so I know you'd reached out to me last week, and I got back to you this morning. But let's work together on this because you thought you had some language that would be applicable to this.
Yeah, we can certainly do whatever we can.
Mike, do you have a copy of that? Do we have an extra copy?
We do have an
can
extra
give?
copy.
Let's just give you Mike one, so you have it. So as we talk to Michael Lawson, you can be following along. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Michael. Go ahead.
It's okay. No, David and I just had the chance to exchange a few emails this morning, but we're happy to provide whatever assistance. We are, of course, transitioning through planning directors, and they're having to recover a few records, and so may take a little bit of time, but we're here at your disposal, of course.
Okay. And so, Michael, who should I reach out to initially on this?
So I don't know if everyone's had a chance to meet Karen. Karen Schmink is our new planning and building services director. Between the two of us, we will tag team it and do our best to get you what you need to complete the process.
Michael, since this is a legal document, are you actually offering the city attorney to review it? Because I'm not sure you can.
That's a good question. I'm curious to know how I'd see later on your agenda here that we're going to be discussing attorneys for the DDA. I would be out of turn to say whether I think our city attorneys can be authoritative on this. I'm a little concerned about that, but we can talk a little bit more after because it's kind of fluid.
You gave the answer I was hoping you would put on the record, because we can't conflict of interest and they're not allowed to
Yeah.
make a legal opinion. So I was curious how that step.
So we need to work on getting an attorney in place to draft that agreement.
Well, and we do have, I'd like to say, we do have an agreement that was drafted by Paul Benedetti that we'll use, if this will fit into that. That has been already done. That will be his last. Mike,
I understand again, and not want to pose any point of conflict or conflict of interest, but Mr. Anderson had said, if you'd like for us to take some of these, we could present the initial document if needed. So we could draft one and bring it to you in the fact that we thought we were still between attorneys, but that's of course an option for you.
okay,
Just inform us if you'd like to do that for expedition.
okay, so that's an option. John,
I don't want to go another 30 or 60 or 90 days. It's already been 90 days that we've been talking about this and we haven't done anything. Does it have to be a formal lawyer signed document, or can it be, this is what we want, come back in 30 days and present some of this stuff and let's get the ball moving? Can it be that, or does it have to have, because we don't have a lawyer and we're not going to have a lawyer in 30 days probably. We may not have a lawyer in 60 days. How long are we going to drag this on?
But John, I think what Mike is offering. may
So
be
how
the
long
way
is
out.
that, may I ask?
Well, if Paul Benedetti's already given a draft, like Mary Jo, we've all read the draft, which was a good draft. It's just, it had a little bit of an exhibit that was removed, that we're trying to replace a little language. If Mike is offering his attorney to take the concept of what David Harris has put together, insert it into it in proper legal terms, I think it would be almost close to being reviewed for a vote again, in my opinion.
But a vote again in 30 days? No, I say a vote again a lot sooner than that. This is,
well, let me ask this.
so, excuse me, 90 days turns into 6 or 7 months. Already we made a commitment already in Word and in person. We've talked to you several times via Zoom. They know that we're interested. Has nothing been done then since? I know it was the holidays and everything, but that's another 90 days. So then we're going to tack another 90 days. So we're talking half a year so far that, and nothing. I guess I'm just frustrated. I'm not mad at any one person, but I'm very frustrated with the lack. We're not moving forward. I came today saying we shouldn't leave this meeting without something in his hand saying, you've got your 60 or 90 days. And now that's probably not going to happen.
Well, we have offered to have a special meeting. Well, how long will you be here?
Till next Monday.
Till next Monday? This week?
Well, let's count on Sunday or, yeah.
This week,
Flight
could
is
you
pretty
pull
early.
together your team and we could meet with them? And in the meantime, draw this up and sign those documents?
We do have, Wednesday, Chad will be in town Wednesday and Friday, is that correct? Yeah, so those afternoons, early afternoons,
Would that be
could possibly,
possible for this board to meet with that group this week as a special meeting and get this documentation done?
now, I'm not sure that they can produce something.
Right.
You know, I don't have their legal agenda, and their attorney represents a lot of stuff. He's a 25-year business and contractual agreement guy who represented a gas company.
Well,
So,
we
or
have
is
a
a CEO of a
contract.
gas company. So I'm not knowing that we can have a revised contract in your hand on Wednesday or Friday.
Well, we have a contract, and if Michael and Karen, I'm sorry, Karen and David could get that drawn up. This is only for a 90-day extension. It isn't the contract to build and to finance and all of that. This is just for the extension. We could move it forward. And Tony has his hand up and wants to say something.
Well, what I would say is Benedetti did draft a good contract, period. What was missing was this piece that
Mhm.
David put together.
Mhm.
So what I would suggest is that if we're going to vote for a 90-day extension, we take that original contract, put this as Exhibit A,
Exhibit.
as the replacement. I think if I recall, there was a few other things that we probably can tweak, but why reinvent the wheel? And the contract should probably originate from us. I think it's a bad precedent to have all these potential developers coming in, giving us contracts. And we do need to get the attorneys in place and get that process going. That's what I would suggest if we're going to do the agreement. From my perspective, we gave you a commitment to give you 90 days to get your team in front of us and an exclusive during that 90 days. What I would suggest is if we're going to vote on giving another 90-day extension for exclusive, or are we just going to give you this and challenge you to bring it in front of us and convince us to move forward with you, or are other parties going to step forward? Do you need a 90-day exclusive? You've already had 90 days. You already had 2.5 years. So the question is, do you really need something legal, to John's point, versus we gave you a 90-day verbal, which is binding, in my opinion, by this board.
Well, it's my understanding that, Tony, for that 90-day binding agreement was contingent upon these deliverables, which I got this morning.
Oh, frankly, if you look at the deliverables, they're not much different than what this board has been talking about for several years. If you look at the
However,
record,
they were to go into the contract.
well, understood.
So can we put those into the contract?
So I don't think the 90, I mean, if you want to, I think the 90 days should be in from the date that we have what you say. Okay, and second of all, I'm going to want my project lead, who is the developer, to say, I agree with 85% of these, but I think these 3 are unrealistic. They're not going to happen. Or he may say, we can do 100% of these easily. I want him to say that and give that kind of feedback to you before we once again are back here doing this again over 15% of things. And then second of all, and then that just follows to say, so suppose we produce these and you understand us to have a viable project and a viable team. What at the end of the 90 happens again? Because we're looking at investing substantial money. And thank you, John, for pointing out, for 90 days, nothing on y'all's behalf transpired. So
Excuse me, we haven't received anything from you. I'm sorry.
if
Well,
we review
David
the
was
notes
working
from
on that.
November 6th, I believe, Tony, we'll find the ball was in y'all's court. You were saying you were going to meet at a special meeting, and you didn't want to wait until December to get these to me. And now here I stand in January, received them this morning.
Okay.
So if I'm incorrect, please correct me,
Tony?
but I,
Yes, Chair,
Oh, wait.
I would recommend that if this board has an appetite to extend the exclusive agreement for 90 days, that we take the existing contract that Benedetti drafted, append the exhibit from Mr. Maharis, make sure we're comfortable with that language, get the agreement executed right away to start the 90 days and go from there. And I don't think it's a negotiation. I think at this point, given the team that you've put together, you should be able, even if you can't deliver a couple of these, you should be able to give us enough information to give us confidence to extend it beyond that 90 days. That's what we really need to see.
Correct.
We keep kind of kicking it down the road. And I agree. I think part of it is the nature of this kind of entity where we only can meet once a month.
correct.
And it's problematic, but that's what we have to live with. So that's what I would suggest is if the board has an appetite for a 90-day extension, that we take the approach of take the existing contract, append Mr. Maharis's work, get it executed, start the clock, and then put it back in your court to get us information.
Very good.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
I
Is that a motion?
would make that motion.
You'd make that motion.
I'd second that.
Do-
I would second that.
The motion is for this board to expeditiously take the existing contract for Mr. Benedetti, which was a nice contract in my opinion, append Mr. Maharis's work, which you have a copy of today, so you can get started today, whether the agreement's executed or not. Have one final review, designate 2 people to review it so that we can get it in front of his group to sign, and who will sign. We don't even know who your other principals are. Who's going to sign on behalf of your entity?
Chad Anderson and myself.
Okay. So we need to get those names. We have them, Chad Anderson. How do you spell Anderson?
Anderson.
Okay. And then I suggest that we could get that done this week, get it executed before you leave, and then start the clock ticking. And then the expectation is that within that 90 days, most of these should be substantially addressed in some form. And then that would give us cover to give you another extension if we get to the end of the 90 days and we feel that you've earned that additional 90 days. Is that fair?
It is.
Reasonable?
Okay, that's the motion. Did you get that, Rebecca?
Good
Now,
for-
do I
good
hear
for you.
a
You
second?
Okay,
I'll
there-
second that motion.
yeah, so let's clear it up for Rebecca. I'm sorry, Rebecca.
Yes, we're gonna have.
Made a motion for the DDA board to take the existing contract from Mr. Benedetti and to have 2 people from Mr. Williams' development team review the contract and sign this week with the expectation that within the 90 days, that the deliverables will be handled and a possible extension.
Well, let me make the motion a little more succinct to help you out. Okay,
Okay,
so
thank you.
the motion is to take the existing contract, append Mr. Maharis's work, have the chair appoint 2 people. I would suggest Mr. Maharis and one other person to review the contract on behalf of the DDA, finalize it, get it in front of Mr. Williams, have them execute it this week, and then we start the clock ticking. I think that's enough for the motion. The rest is on the record in terms of future expectations.
Okay, got it. We have a second by David. Discussion. Jerry?
Given the, first off, Mike, I'd like to let you know that there are a couple of us anyway that actually feel badly how you're being approached. We've had a long relationship with you and I'd like to see it, everybody be happy. Secondly, I still insist that there is a conflict of interest with Tony Perry and Arden Weatherford voting anything to do with Woodland Station. The only way this board found itself firing arguably the best DDA attorney in the state. Not real sure why exactly yet. But until we have an attorney to help clarify that, I very much insist that they recuse themselves. And if they refuse to do so, I want it on record, please, again, that I have requested this and will keep pursuing it.
Okay.
So
Thank you,
we're in
Jerry.
discussion.
Anybody else down here? Tony?
We're in discussion. So I think Mr. Williams appreciates this. Mr. Good, this is not personal. This is business. We're doing the business of the city, period. And Mr. Williams probably appreciates clarity of communication and clarity of what the process is moving forward. It's nothing personal against Mr. Williams. It's just they are frustrated. We're frustrated because we haven't gotten off the dime, period. With respect to your ongoing issue, I'm sorry, legally, you were wrong. I'm sorry you don't understand that.
We need an attorney.
Okay, well, go ahead. You know what? I'm fine. Go ahead and sue me personally and let's see where this goes.
Okay, we're.
No,
moving on.
We're kind of getting really tired of this. What I suggest, Ms. Chair, is that Mr. Good, you draft a formal statement that we can put on the agenda every month so that we don't have to listen to it every month. Just put it on the agenda. That's fine.
We need to expedite getting an attorney to represent.
Oh, I
us.
agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
we do. Okay. Rusty, anything else, Tony? You done? Rusty?
Yeah, first, Jerry, if you want to make a motion to recuse, then we can take a vote. But I mean, you've made it for the record over and over again. Sometime make a motion so we can kill this, bringing it up over and over and over again. Make a motion, see if it gets seconded. We'll vote. You haven't made a motion yet. So that's just to you, Jerry.
Okay,
Now,
you know.
now
this-
my comment, Mike, I'm actually in the same camp as Jerry is, and Tony and John, I know you're very frustrated. I'm as frustrated as you are, but I do believe you have a valid point. You are seeing this for the first time in writing. I think Paul Benedetti has got a good draft. You've seen that at least.
Yes, sir.
I think out of fairness, if we do vote to append it to that draft, out of fairness, and I want this on the record, I would like you to have sufficient time for your attorney to review whatever we pass to you, so that we have a legally reviewed legal document that protects the city and your corporation. So I agree that it would be unfair to have an expectation of it being done today or even in the next 48 hours. Lawyers need a little bit of time. Maybe in a week's time, you would have it available. So I want you to know, I've been frustrated with this progress not moving forward, but this time in listening to you, I do think you have a valid point.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any more discussion to it?
Who's gonna be the two people that are going to look at it?
Well, let's pass it first or.
Okay.
Good. All those in favor of that motion?
Aye.
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 All those opposed?
Yeah.
2 are opposed, Rebecca
Okay,
Arden
yes, Jerry.
and Jerry,
Arden.
and I vote yes as well.
Okay, thank you.
So Arden and Jerry are against it. Okay, we need 2 people to help review it. I would like to appoint David and John to work with you, Mike. Does that work? Does that sound okay with you
Yeah, David and
David?
John
Sure.
here.
and John?
Yes,
the
absolutely.
Secretary, and then I would like to sign the contract when it's all done. Make it legal.
Who signs? So it's 3
It says
signatures? Do we
That's
just,
why, that's why we're going over the bylaws, because we want to make it legal, so. Okay,
Now, give me some expectation as to, so communication route, who I don't know anymore to email.
Just communicate straight with me and
Okay.
I'll give you a business card. So you
Okay.
can-
And,
we-
and John, where did
Okay.
he come into play on this, just as a signatory?
and then
I'd like to
John
be, I'd
and
like to be
Dave-
on the email too, if that's okay.
Yes.
Sure.
And then also, can we, and it might be too soon, Mike, do you think 2 weeks is enough so that we would have something in a couple of weeks signed by you guys, or is that not realistic? I don't want to wait another 30 days to kick off this.
As the project lead, not as me taking a secondary role to that, more being the point person here. I wish I could answer, John. We're working expeditiously. Now, a lot of our works has been internal housekeeping affairs. So it's not necessarily on these things. It's to allow us internally to be prepared to go full speed ahead to address these things. But, we're a new group being put together now too. So we've had issues there that we had to bring into agreement.
So could we say that? I don't want to do another 30 days, but it sounds like we might have to. Can we say, if you don't bring something to the next meeting that we've got to sign, that we would assume that it's not, that we're going to move forward? Can we actually say something like that? Can we give it another 30 days? Because that looks like that's where we're
Well, I'd
going.
like to make a comment on what I suggested, that we have a special meeting while Mike's in town. If you can put it together with Chad, that we could meet with you before you leave.
But he
That
needs his
would take
lawyers
care
to
of
look at it.
all of that.
Well, and we'll speak with him right following this meeting and he'll pick up his cell phone and find out what Alan Brown can do.
You can tell by, we're with you. We're not against you.
Right.
We just
Then-
need to get it going.
So let me get clarity again. So you're going to add this to Benedetti's agreement yourself, have someone look at it, then we'll have it to our attorney. Our attorney does not add it to Benedetti's agreement. passed to you. Okay, so
Right.
we're still waiting, John. We're still in y'all's court.
Yeah, that's.
But if it takes
That's
us
what worries me.
a week to get that together.
Me too, obviously.
Is there a point of clarification? Is there a necessity for the board to meet again on the contract, or do we just need to get your signature?
Well, that, I think just gives a signature if we choose not to meet with them and talk in more of a one-on-one on strictly that development ideas and projects. You know, do we want to do that?
Is the board giving he and I permission to put it together and have you sign it? Rusty's shaking his head.
Point of order, we have not voted on the language that you're being given the authority to sign. So I do think we would have to meet. So everybody here in a public forum can be a 5-minute meeting. We have to vote in public.
And that's what I was looking for. And I'm fine with that, but let's set a meeting in 2 weeks.
Tony's
Or
got to
we-
go, so let's hear Tony. and-
Well, is it feasible to, I think it would be great if they can get 13 together in front of us in a couple of days. We have to give 24-hour notice, I believe, for a special meeting.
Mhm.
So I think let's just attack this. New year, new focus. Let's see if we can pull together a meeting this week for that. Frankly, I don't think it'll be very difficult to get the contract prepared, and maybe as an additional agenda item, we're actually reviewing that contract during that meeting this week. Because I think if we could get it to them in the next 2 or 3 days, you're right, your attorney does need to review it. I think you've already seen it, so I suspect that your attorney will be able to parse through it pretty quickly. Not that we need to rush it, but with the goal with being to have this process done maybe within 2 weeks to meet John's kind of expectation. I would be
Right.
fine with
Well, and
that.
I think we would all feel comfortable meeting Chad and Mike and talking with them.
If they have
So
time.
it sounds like an
Sounds like they're
afternoon
busy.
meeting. I have to go to my appointment, but if you
Yes.
guys said anything, I'll make sure I show up.
I
Okay.
would say we have less appointments on Friday than we do Wednesday, and Wednesday's tomorrow. So
Friday works.
let's perhaps say Friday. And Mark, would you kind of think of time? Can you think of the time that might be appropriate? We'll be done with our other meeting and 11:30-ish or 1 after lunch or what? Okay. We'll just clarify somewhere in that window between 11:30 and 1. Maybe if you want to keep that in mind for this Friday, we can see if Mr. Anderson can be available.
Can you send us a little closer timeline? Some of
As
us
soon as I
actually-
chat with him, it's
Okay.
all on him.
Okay, thank you.
Can you
And we'll
call?
call him right after the meeting.
Okay,
Yeah, 'cause
Thank
we'll
you.
want to set a time.
yes,
so.
we'll
Sure.
set a time.
Yeah.
So
Now,
if-
in most respectfully, I would like to say just one comment that is uneasy and unsettling. And it makes us always wonder, when will we know if we get a follow-up or whatever else? So Mr. Bourne is correct. We have never presented anything for that TIF. We've looked at it many times, but we didn't have the team to do it. And we had several times attempted to go at it, but it was going to be with 1 or 2 buildings, not something that could be developed for the whole complex. It was going to be in developed phases, that phase 2 purchase would follow phase 1. So in a land development contract type agreement. So we've not been able to, but the concerns is we stand before you and we're talking about a project that is quite pricey, and we're getting ready to spend a lot of money. We're getting ready to spend $500,000 to decide if this thing is totally doable and feasible. And yet I get comments like, we're waiting on something from you, and if you don't do something soon, we're going to do something. That's not very customer approachable.
No,
So we kind of want to know if there's a great concession out there among some that we're gonna do everything we can to shortcut this thing or to whatever. It just was, most respectfully, sir, it wasn't very approachable language to make us feel welcome to be here for this project.
I agree. Mike, we want you. You're the only game in town that we have right now. And
Well, that's not necessarily true, Mary
Well,
Jo. There might be a lot of
for the
people
whole
interested. We've given
development.
him the opportunity to have this exclusive time, and we're
Let me
apparently
finish.
being,
So, and I know that you have already said that you are willing to work with other people that are interested in a development there, if you can work it into the whole project, both. which I
Correct. We're
think
very interested in that.
which I think is very accommodating to other people that are interested in some development over there. So I think that's a very positive thing for our community. So
I have a question.
I would like to ask that if you would find, all right, Rusty's got a question, then I'll finish.
Yes, sir. Mike, just clarification. You are working on the whole property in your design, not just. and I-
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
I heard you say, 2 buildings in the past, but you are putting together
Correct.
the whole thing. Thank
That
you
is
for the
correct.
clarification. Thanks, Mary Jo.
Right. So if you
At the
could,
timeline, it could be developed, obviously.
if you could call Chad even before we're done, we can maybe set up a time and get it scheduled so that we're in the legalities for a Friday meeting and a
Yeah.
time. If
And-
you could do that after we're done talking. But we do want you, Mike. You've shown interest in this and you've stuck with us and we've stuck with you through our ups and downs. And I really hope that this is coming to fruition.
Thank you. And I believe you can lift your head up. It'll be something that will be beneficial to all parties and the city as well. Very much. I believe all neighboring parties are going to benefit, all local businesses will benefit. I think if you'll stick with us, look it out. Seem a little less threatening, not legally performing, not having expectations, but at least kind of giving us the idea that you're on the same team. And then I think something glorious is coming.
Good,
Okay.
good. That's music to our
Yes.
ears. We're anxious to listen to Chad.
Just one thing,
Matt,
if we could have that time for Friday by end of business today, that would be
Mhm.
fantastic because we're all business owners.
Yeah.
And that time slot will fill up for me.
We'll, Mark and I'll make a call as soon as we want, get a separate room here, make a call and see
Okay.
if Mr. Anderson is available longer Friday. I think he's planned to be here longer if necessary. So,
Good.
and we'll get you that time.
That'd be great.
good. Okay.
Thank you very much for your time,
All
Mike.
right.
Thank you, Mike.
In fact,
We'll
while
let
y'all
you go,
conduct the
Mike,
rest of
and
your
come
business,
back
we'll
when
step,
you're done.
we'll step out and go ahead and try to do that while
Okay.
y'all conduct other business.
Okay.
Thank you all for your time.
I think you can tell by we are willing to give you that 90 days. We're working towards that. It's been a long time and I apologize.
Thank you, John. And look forward to working with y'all.
Good.
Mhm.
Thanks, Mike. All right, we are moving on the agenda to attorneys, and Tony has just left. So I want to say we went to the CML meeting that the city put on that we requested, and this Cap was there. Kevin, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his last name, who put the meeting on, has offered to help us with an attorney as well.
It was Kevin Balmer.
Kevin Balmer, and he has offered to help us with an attorney as well. He knows good DBA attorneys. I don't know if any of the names that Tony have here are some of the names that Kevin would give us, but I do have a call into him and he is putting together some suggestions. So maybe we could just table this till our next meeting when Tony is here and we'll have that list as well. Does that sound okay to this board?
Can we at least, so this is really questions too, and I believe that this was put together, and you could help me with this. I believe that the city of Woodland Park had a say in this list of people as well.
That is correct.
Okay.
So it's not like Tony just went through the phone book or went through his personal
I
Rolodex
didn't.
and pulled these out. I just want it to be known that these were brought to Tony as suggestions from the city of Woodland Park.
Okay.
So I think they should be considered. And Tony, and I'm not, only because he's not here, there's a list of questions. And I guess the thing is we would like to find 1 or 2 people that would be willing to call these attorneys or have meetings with these attorneys. I think we can do it over the internet or through emails originally to ask these questions and have them answer these questions. I think these are valid questions that were put together.
Mhm.
I don't, again, I don't know that we need to wait another 30 days before we move on something, because we keep. My frustration is not with any one person, but I think I've been on this board for 6 or 7 months now. And everything gets pushed off for 30 days, 30 days, 30 days. When are we going to bear down and say, well, we're not leaving this meeting until something's done? I'm just saying, and I got a business to run too. In fact, my job site's sitting empty right now. So, I mean, I get it, but we need to move forward. So I don't know that I want to wait another 30 days.
I would think that we can discuss this at our Friday meeting.
So then the Friday meeting goes from a 5 or 10 minute meeting to an hour or half hour.
Well, I would hope that it's more than 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, I would hope we could talk with Chad and kind of get an idea and a feel for what they're thinking, what they want to propose. So I would say it'll probably be a 30 to 45-minute meeting. But I think that once we get the names, we can see if any of these cross-reference, and then we can pick 2 people that could call these and do these.
So then you'll
Ask
have
these
the names that you want to add to it by
Well, I would
Friday?
hope by Kevin will get back to me by Friday. I'm gonna call him again,
Okay,
you know.
so we're chaired till Friday, and this is that the
Well, I'd
right
like to
term,
make a
chaired
motion.
till Friday, tabled till Friday. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'd like.
I'll get
Okay.
it. I'll get it eventually then.
all
Yeah,
right.
I'd like to make a
Trustee-
motion that we go ahead and forward these 6 questions to these 3 attorneys, requesting they respond in writing, and that if another attorney name is brought forward by you, Mary Jo, or any other board member, we add those attorneys to these 3 so that we can start reviewing the responses. That's my motion.
So,
I'll second that motion. Or second.
Rebecca, did you get that motion?
1 second.
Michael,
Yes, and the second was by Matt.
Okay, discussion. Michael?
so for the board's consideration, obviously you can do what you choose, but to give some context on the names that have been provided,
Uh-huh.
I personally did that research. I spoke with our attorneys here, and I contacted folks I used to work with in the urban renewal world up in Aurora, and those were names given to me. There's only so many folks in the municipal legal world who do this sort of thing. My feeling from talking with Kevin is that he might have 1 or 2 other names, but these are very solid names.
Good.
I'm going to have these from an objective third party that knows very little about Woodland Park and all of our history. These are just good, solid names overall.
Good.
So,
And that was my concern, because I do know that it needs someone that does understand TIF and DDA. And because I know that Paul educated all of us on it, because we do nothing about it. And I'm just concerned that we have someone that does know. If you have already done that, probably the same names that Kevin give me are gonna be these 2.
mhm.
So, you know,
Yeah,
I
and
think we
he,
can move forward.
I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he and I have spoken, and he and I know many of the same people. And I can follow up with him, but I think he would be largely in agreement with those names. Again, there's only so many that do this.
Exactly. And I just wanted to make sure we had
Absolutely.
someone in the know
Yeah, there has
on
been,
this. So,
as far as I am involved, there has been objective look in finding these names. I don't know who
Okay.
these folks are, but they do come highly recommended by people who do.
okay,
thank you.
that's very helpful. So we can just move forward as this. So we have a motion on the floor that Rusty has made, that we go ahead and submit these questions to these attorneys. And if there is another, we will add them to the list. We have a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Hearing none, passed unanimous. So we'll talk about this on Friday and see what we have come up with. So that will be on the agenda on Friday.
So then, but we just passed a motion that these can now be sent. We don't have to wait till Friday.
No,
Correct.
these can be sent and then we'll talk
So
about
who's
it
going
on
to do
Friday.
that?
That is the next step we need to go to. Who
Yes.
would be the,
Okay,
So who has got time to do that?
I can send these 6 questions to those
If you can
attorneys.
do that and forward them to them, okay.
thank you,
And
Rusty.
any response you get, please share through admin with the rest of us?
We'll do that. And
Okay.
Mary Jo, if you do hear back another attorneys, I will further send it to a fourth or a fifth or
And I'll
however
make sure
many.
you get that
Thank you.
if I hear from
Thank you, Rusty.
any of that. All right.
Yay.
Okay, moving right along. The DDA bylaws. I'm not sure that we are clear on the bylaws because some of the things that we have been doing have not been according to the bylaws. So, the things are, have you read these bylaws? Has this board read these bylaws? Because it says here, let's see, in the safety, and we don't need, these are just basics. What I wanted to come is, the board members, 5 to 11, the jobs, the officers, how they'll be elected. The officers shall be members of the board. The chair shall preside at all meetings of the authority, sign contracts, deeds, and other instruments of authority if authorized by resolution with attention by the secretary. So when Matt puts these invoices together, which I think he's gonna get one today, so the two of us will sign it and make sure that goes. Either has to be John or Matt, myself or Jerry. So it has to be one or the other of us and one or the other of you, and that makes it legal.
I think Matt said like for Rebecca, it has to be the same two people each time. It can't just be you and then somebody else. Isn't that what you
I
said?
think unless someone is unavailable,
It can be either one of us in case one is unavailable, and either one of you in case
Okay.
one is unavailable.
Okay,
Just so we all understand
it's the
that.
city's preference that it's the same two people that are approving and signing.
Yes, but if not, at
Well,
least it has to be
Understood.
one of the
Okay.
four. Okay, and then if we have read all of these, are there any questions about any of the other the advertising of our meetings? We always did them, posted them in 3 places, which was chamber, the jailhouse, the city hall, and on the website. We had a list of people that asked to be copied on the agenda and any information that was sent out. That's not being sent out. So we need to sit down and just go through those lists and make sure that our meetings are being advertised and promoted to all venues. Yes.
Rebecca actually had a meeting with Suzanne, I don't know, a month ago or around there.
Okay.
And was told the proper channels of what we need to do. One of the things that Rebecca approached me with, she said, we need to get our agenda in within a week of the meeting or sooner. 7 to 10 days is what the city is requesting, so that they can get it posted too, and then get it out so that it's not within the last, I know we only have 48 to 72 hours or something like that, but they want it out there sooner than that, if we can. But she's been given she was schooled, she actually came up on time and met with Suzanne, and Suzanne told her what's expected of her. So if there's a question with that, then
Okay, well, this is what we've done before, and the people that are not getting the notices of the meetings, you know. how
well, I
come
don't
they're
think
not?
that
We
she knew
can
that.
add that to it.
Yes,
Is it
So
people
we'll-
I'm supposed to be emailing?
I have no
Yes.
idea. This is new to
Yes.
me.
Because that's what
I
we,
need to know who, because nobody told me.
well, the newspaper and the other people, we'll try to get that list to you, but some of
Okay,
those
thank
people.
But the newspaper
we
has the
maybe
same,
Can start a new list if people would like to be on the email for our notices. They can sign up and we can add them. We can start a new one. But that was something that the community always appreciated, and I think that would be a nice thing that we could keep up. Rusty?
Yeah, furthering the discussion on that particular meetings and noticing paragraph,
Yes,
I would like the board to consider adding the language and the city website. In other words, it reads right now, the secretary shall post the agenda of its regular meetings in advance in 3 public places within the city of Woodland Park, Colorado. I would like it to further state and on the city website, so that when people go to the website, they see any meeting, regular or special meeting posted. They don't have to find them at the 3 physical places, because nobody goes around every day checking, the police station, city. We don't
but I've
just
had some people say they can't find it on the city website.
agree. And that's why not an or, just an addition, so that we have the 3 public places that we currently have wherever they are, the city hall, the police, and there's one other. But we
Chamber.
also, the chamber, that's right. We add and the website. So it gives just one extra, and it's relatively easy to add it to the website.
So see, our bylaws conflict with Suzanne. So how do we do that? Do we go by Suzanne or do we go by our bylaws?
Well, we have to go by the bylaws.
Grace Johnson emailed me that our agenda was posted last Wednesday to the city website.
It was.
Okay,
Yeah,
It
and
was.
what I'm saying
That's
is
not what
the,
I'm saying. I'm just saying we need to get on the same page. We need to go by the bylaws, whatever that is. That's what we need to do. And if the city requires us to have it in earlier, we'll do that. And I have no problem with getting it out. I would say I need to approve it. It also states that in the bylaws. And the reason that the chair needs to approve it in lieu of time, because at our CML meeting, they said it's very important to stay within your advertised time frame, which is 7:30 till 9. So if we get our agenda too full with too many things, then we don't get a chance to either complete the agenda or we don't get enough time for discussion. Michael?
And I would say, as far as Suzanne is concerned, we would prefer to have it a week in advance. It's not a hard and fast rule. That 24 hours is the hard and fast rule, but our practice is generally about a week ahead of time.
Okay.
So that would be our
I'm
preference.
trying to get it out no later than Tuesday.
Sure.
So, if I can get it out by Tuesday, then I can get commitment from the people to, like Michael and
Of course.
that kind of thing.
Right.
I will try to do that. So I still think that we should post it at least in 2 places. It's on the city website. If we could put on the city calendar window where we post it before, and maybe at the chamber, at least there are some people who do it. Is that all right with the board?
yeah, and Mary Jo, I think to honor what you're saying, we need to codify it in the bylaws. And I will make a motion. If you listen to the language, I think it'll be exactly what you're asking for. But I do think we do need to codify it by amending the bylaws. So it would be something like, I would make a motion to amend the Downtown Development Authority's bylaws, Article 5, Section 3, second sentence, so that it reads, the secretary shall post the agenda of its regular and special meetings in advance in 3 public places within the city of Woodland Park, Colorado, and to the city website. I think that captures what you're saying.
Do I hear a second? Do you think it's necessary to amend the bylaws to read that?
Can it just be a
If I don't-
matter of practice? I mean, does it have to be in the bylaws? Do we need to amend it or?
Do you feel like it needs to be amended?
No, I think we can just do it by practice.
I second it, just to make it official,
Then we need to go through the proper procedures of amending the bylaws.
I guess.
Because it's not just changing them, you have to amend it, you have to have 3 readings as well.
Okay.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, Rebecca, David, myself, Jerry opposed. Okay, got it? All right, so we'll have 3 readings on that. Change, okay?
And Rebecca, you got the language, if
I did, I'm gonna do the same to make sure. it's correct.
perfect.
All right,
And I think the main thing is we follow that practice anyway, starting now. That's the goal,
course.
to get it posted to the
That's
website.
important, David, yeah.
right, so now we're all in agreement that I get the agenda out on Tuesday. We have it posted on the city website. We post it at the chamber office and we post it on the front door of City Hall.
Correct.
And start start a, well, I think it was only 2, wasn't it? We used 3.
We've been,
doing
it actually says 3.
Does it say 3?
The
Then we'll
bylaws
do
say
it
3.
At the end, we'll figure out how to get those posted. If I have to take some out, I can.
Rebecca actually has been getting them posted herself,
Okay,
coming up and doing it and getting it done for us.
okay, great, Rebecca, thank you. All right, yes?
By jailhouse, I mean the police station. right?
Oh, yeah. What did I say, jailhouse? All right, the police station, sorry. Okay, you got it, Rebecca?
Yes, ma'am.
We're moving on. The foundation plan, we don't need to go over it. You all have a copy. It'd be good to refresh it for yourselves with Mike Williams, with what they're going to propose. Make sure we're within those boundaries.
I need a copy
I
of
need a
that.
copy of that.
Okay.
No, I have.
Rebecca, you do have
I have
one?
one, but let's keep the copy because I have them scanned.
I think just me right
Can I
now.
email you guys all the scanned copy?
That's
Sure.
even
Is that
better.
acceptable?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yes.
If it's gonna get emailed,
Okay.
I have.
yeah, if it's gonna be emailed, I'll take it since you're up. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll be on track with that. Well, we have a general discussion. We'll go around that and we've got some great audience here. We want to make sure that they have time to participate. Matt, do you want to start out anything for general discussion?
I don't have anything right this minute.
Okay.
I do. The use of emails. Everybody has an email. A lot of stuff Rebecca will send out through email. And a lot of this stuff like the stuff you went over this morning is available online. It's an online resource that everybody has access to. We don't need to print it for everybody. If people will just do a little homework, get online and look. We're noticing that people are not using their emails and we're not getting responses from their email. And I would ask that if you come to a meeting and say, well, I didn't get that, I will show you that we sent it out. And if you didn't get it, it's not our fault. It's
Okay.
the person not looking at the email. So I just ask that we would use the email as a better resource and for communicating too. We are allowed to communicate through that. And in fact, it should be the only tool that we use to communicate through email. It shouldn't be personal email. If we use our personal email and somebody wants to look at that, well, then you've just opened up your personal emails to be looked at forever and ever, amen, from there back. So you might want to avoid that. So again, please use the email as a resource. We send out emails often and we don't get any responses. We don't know if anybody looked at it at all. We're assuming that not
Okay.
because we come unprepared. So I'm just saying, please look at the emails.
John, are you actually wanting us to
Good
just say
point.
received?
You could
Out of
reply,
courtesy.
you
Okay.
could so that people will
Just say
know.
thank you.
Or anything, thanks. There's
Thanks.
at the bottom of the emails, you'll see little canned responses. It's just easy to push. We recommend that if you're communicating that you just respond to one when you're communicating on there, because if you put respond all, then now we've opened up another can of worms that we shouldn't have. So make sure that when you're responding to somebody, you just respond to that person. Again, it's canned and it's on there and it's easy for you to find.
So clarification, we are not allowed to send emails to more than one board member. If we do, it has to go through that.
Yes.
Correct.
Al, you got any general discussion?
Nothing additional. Thank you.
Okay, Jerry?
No.
I'd just like to say the CML meeting was very informative, very good. We enjoyed it. I think the rest of the board that did. I think that Kevin will be a great resource. I think that he might be able to help us out on occasion on some of the things that cross our path, and I think that he'll be a great resource. So thank you for putting that together, Michael. That was very informative. So it's all good. David?
The only thing I have is when I'd spoken with Sally a few weeks back, she said that you had a copy of that TIF application. I'd like to include that in the exhibits for the contract with Mike Williams. Is that correct, Al?
Yes, and I think it's even online, but I can give you a copy right now.
Cool.
Now, this may be one that I printed out some time ago.
It
Yeah.
hasn't changed though, has it? We haven't changed it.
No,
So it's the same.
no.
Okay. That all, David?
That's all I had.
Okay, Rusty,
I'm done, thank you.
I had one other, if I may, for Rusty.
John?
Tony was wondering if you might ask what the rate is for those lawyers too, when you reach out to them, what their rate is, so that we have that information.
That is an appropriate thing that we should consider the
Yes.
rates.
Yes.
So I'm going to add a seventh question.
Okay.
And I'm trying to do this to document this. It'll be a seventh question, hourly rate.
Okay. All right.
Mary Jo?
Yes.
I do have one more comment. Rebecca, could we include my comments as on the record? Again, please.
Okay. General discussion, audience participation. Let's just start over here. And please introduce yourself and comments, questions, anything. Robert, you got anything?
Robert Dda City Council. It's great to see this moving forward with the Women's Station property. So that's some stuff moving forward.
Good, good. Would this be Ron that's behind? Rob?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for coming. I'm glad you came. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so my wife and I are Canadian. We're looking to open a business here in Wilson Park. We've been approved for a Way Back Burgers franchise. So at this point, we're waiting for the E2 approval, which we're expected to get by the 3rd week of January. So Mary Jo, right?
Yes, it is.
Invited me to attend this meeting just to hear a little bit more about the DDA. And I guess about this development that's taking place. So yeah, so just here to listen and get a better understanding of
Great.
what's happening.
Great, Rob. Well, you can see Mike is the one that, if you're interested in talking with him. And if there's other places in Woodland Park, hopefully we're available to help you there. I'm not sure, you probably don't understand the TIF process. Al Bourne has got what he gave to David here, an application for TIF that you can get on our website. So if you want to talk to him afterwards to find out how to get that, that'll kind of walk you through some of the steps for TIF. So Al Bourne here? Yeah. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate you coming. Matt?
Hey, everybody, I'm Matt Hayes. I've been hanging out with Mary Jo a little bit as I intend to run for city council in the spring. She's kind enough to invite me out here to get a little bit of insight to how these meetings run and to the kind of topics of discussion that you guys have here. So.
Great. And if you live in the city limits and want to sign Matt's, have you turned it in yet?
My first one turned in.
First one turned in. Good deal. Kat?
No. Thanks.
Kelly?
I would just suggest, I would just suggest that for public comment, maybe ask folks if they have comment, come to the microphone since the meetings are recorded. Lots of folks watch the meetings online from the posting of the meetings as public record. And I think it would just be a little more efficient. And then all these wonderful comments from the audience will be on the record. So thank you.
Michael?
just fine.
Apologies for not having the room set up ahead of time. We have a couple folks out sick, so we're trying to plug the holes. That's it.
Welcome to our world today.
Amen.
Thanks,
Rick,
Michael.
good to see you again. Glad you're on board with us. Any comments?
Just a citizen, no comments.
Karen? Okay, Pat.
I do. I want to thank you for changing the meeting. Thank you, thank you.
All right. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, the board has nothing else to say. I need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Al moved to adjourn.
Second it.
Rusty seconds it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, meeting adjourned. Thank you all for coming.